Hello everyone, remember me? I'm that geezer who did a video about a year ago, just over a year ago. When was it? Early April, yeah, just over 14 months ago. Anyway, sorry about the lighting, but as I said before, I'm not a YouTuber and don't really give a shit. I guess the most important thing is, what I'm going to talk about. So I'm finished, really happy. They're not too white, they look natural. Everyone said they're really good, really, really happy, but it's not been a smooth process. But what I have to say is, when you hear my story, Attelia, they stepped up. They were remarkable, but I'll get to that. So like before, I've got some tips. And the first tip is please check your travel insurance. I ended up in hospital a couple of weeks ago. Basically, I woke up one morning really blurry, really struggling to walk. By the time I made it to the doctor's office in Hotel Sue, I was pretty much just sliding along the wall to get there. Ended up in hospital for 6 days. Phoned my insurance company, which was really, really hard because how ill I was, and they refused to pay because while I was in Antalya, I was having dental treatment. And that was it. And obviously, since I've been home, I've looked through the booklet and read the T's and C's, and it's perfectly clear. On the cover letter, it didn't mention anything about medical treatment or dentist work or anything like that. But once you get into their T's and C's, it's quite clearly there. This experience cost me $8,000, basically, because the hospitals, it's not cheap, when you have to pay for it, and it kind of, made it a really expensive trip. But, I've still spent less than I would if I had teeth like this done in the UK. So that's the way it is. But let's go back. So my first video was about my first trip, and I had them temporary teeth. Then I had a second visit in November last year. So what the plan was they were going to take the temporary teeth off. I'd have my implants put in. Temporary teeth would go back on back in 6 months and have the final crowns and everything. But just like before, there was a complication for me because of the reasons I explained in the first video. The fact I'd smoked for so long and I didn't look after my dental health. My jawbone along here just wasn't thick enough and strong enough to take implants. So the remaining teeth I had, they had to take out and use those holes to put the implants. And what that resulted in, it meant that I couldn't have the temporary crown back on the top. So for 6 months, I had a denture. And it was purely aesthetic. I couldn't eat with it, couldn't chew with it. So it was all, bolognese, lasagna, soups. Soup making is actually quite fun, but it was a really, really hard 6 months. Then I went back, had the temporary went back on the 1st of May and had to have another couple of root canals and some back teeth that I've got remaining. But I had to wait about 4 days and I had no temporary crown and I had no denture. So I pretty much had no teeth for these 4 days while they were making my crowns. And in the meantime, I got unwell, ended up in hospital, couldn't walk basically for 5 days, couldn't even hold a spoon, so I had to be fed. I was basically in bed for 5 days, catheter and all of that kind of stuff. So I went a whole 2 weeks without any teeth. And just to make it even worse, I got COVID in hospital. So the dentist wanted a bit of a delay before they completed my treatment. So on the following Monday, I started having my crowns fitted, and it was all done by Tuesday. And I'm really, really happy with them. When they first put them in, I thought they were a little bit big and a little bit too white. And Dr. Kubra, my dentist, completely agreed. So I had to wait an extra day just while they shortened them a little bit and took them down one shade. But this is 84 on the zirconium. And as I said, I think they look great, but they don't look too white. I'm not Ryland and, that kind of thing. So the actual teeth was really happy. The total cost for me was £11,900 over the 3 visits. And then obviously on top of that, you've got your flights and your spending money. So you know, if you know that your mouth's pretty crap, you know, you need to expect to be spending quite a bit of money. And a few people that I was speaking to were in the same boat as me, pretty much had all their teeth taken out, implants put in. I've got a total of 13 implants. And then I've got a combination of single crowns and a few bridges. I think I've got 5 on the bottom, so 3 bridges and 2 single teeth, and 3 bridges on the top. I've eaten anything I've wanted to. Obviously, I'm not going to go silly and start eating pork scratchings and, you know, stuff like that. I'm using a water pick, which is really good, and you can feel the bits of food coming out when you use that. You know, I've been home now 1 week and a day. I had to stay in Antalya a few extra days because I just couldn't walk strong enough. I had a walking stick, but it just wasn't good enough. But Attelia, incredible. So the first hospital I went to, it was obviously associated with the doctor in the Hotel Sue, and it was €1,500 per day. On top of that was a $300 initial consultation fee. So I was €1,800 down. Yeah, sorry, €300. So I was €1,800 down just when I walked in the hospital. Well, not walked in, went in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. Phoned the insurance. They said they wouldn't pay. I spoke to Attelia, and this is when they started stepping up, especially Murat, one of the guys there. Unbelievable what he did for me. So he arranged for me to be transferred to another hospital, which was $500 per day. But that $500 is a flat charge. That's just to be laying in the bed. They charge every pill, every injection, every drip, every consultation, and so on and so on. So, but they didn't know that my insurance hadn't paid. And the reason why I say this is because when the neurologist came in to check on me on my 5th day, and he said that he'd found an infection on my spine as well, and he wanted to treat that. And then I said to him, you know, this is starting to get really expensive for me now. And he says, no, the insurance, you know, you can go on your insurance. And I said to him, my insurance won't pay. Then all of a sudden there was real empathy from him, and he was talking to the physiotherapist who was in the room at the same time. It was in Turkish, but I could really tell the empathy. And he spoke to Attelia, to Murat specifically, and Attelia agreed to I had to do drips for 3 days to clear this infection. And I don't know if you've ever had the chance to go down into the basement at Attelia, but it's like a bloody hospital. You know, they've got anaesthesia rooms, they've got nurses and all that kind of thing. So Attelia saved me $1,500 and they came to the hospital, they picked me up, they rebooked Hotel Sue for me. Obviously, I had to pay for it. They took me to the hotel, made sure I was okay. At this point, I was just about walking with a stick. But I had no strength in my hands at all. Couldn't even open a water bottle. So I did need help. But for the next 3 days, every day, Attelia turned up, took me to the clinic, took me downstairs, did my drip, took me back again. You know, it was just beyond what was needed. And on one of the trips, Murat drove me personally. And we stopped off at this medical shop, and he said, right, what do you need? And, you know, got the walking stick, and I got some stuff to help exercise my hands and all of this kind of thing. So, you know, Attelia are really good. They're great dentists. But the way that they stepped up, and since I've been home over a week, a couple of them have messaged me, hello, Nigel, how are you getting on? You know, they don't have to do that. They've got my money. My teeth are finished. They can just forget about me. And the fact that they've done that, I think, is just phenomenal, you know. So let's just summarise so everybody knows what's happened for me. We're just under 10 minutes, so I'll just go on for a couple of minutes more. My tips from the first video, you know, really helped me out, you know, by taking all those noodles and everything because they were really useful, and cup of soups and all of that kind of stuff. But what happened to me is I started off WhatsApping just over a year ago, sent pictures of my mouth, you know, with the spoons, opening it up wide. They quoted about $4,000. I got over there, had the x-rays, and my mouth was crap. So it went up. and it went up to, the 3 visits. The second visit, but the first 6 months with the temporary crowns was great. They were just like having teeth, I'd have been quite happy keeping them if I knew they'd last a few years. But then the second one, that was where the complication. And what was really hard there is the fact that it was a long day again. I think it was about 7-8 hours, various dentists doing different things, and you're lying there, you're knackered, your mouth aches, and then they drop this bombshell on you saying, "We need to take your teeth out. You're going to have a denture." And I'm thinking, well, my mum's had dentures for I think pretty much my whole life, so for 50 years, and she gets on all right. I went, yeah, okay, do what you have to do, and blah, blah, blah. And then literally as I'm leaving, they're saying, oh, but you need to take it out when you're eating. And I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, excuse my language, sorry. I'm not going to be editing this. I'm not a YouTuber. Yeah, so really, really tough, but I'm home, I'm happy. The teeth look good. I lost a bit of weight because I was in hospital. I'm getting there now. I'm walking without a stick. My hands, I don't quite have all the strength back, but I'm pretty much doing everything now. Struggle with the mouse a little bit, so that's a bit hard for work. But c'est la vie. These things just make you stronger. I said, if you've got any further questions, do drop a comment in. I will try and answer them. But best of luck if you're still considering treatment. Take care.